Chairman, I'm tempted to ask for his extra time, but I won't. I want to thank you all very much for being here. I am struck by the fact that you've mentioned many times that we have all made choices. Our nation has made choices when it comes to energy policy, and those choices have consequences. And I think that some unwise choices 20, 30 years ago are yielding what we are seeing today, and we need to realize that sometimes a policy, we need to take a long-term view. And I appreciate that you all are willing to come here and sit down with us and begin to get our hands around this problem and get this thing solved. I want to just ask you a couple of quick things, but I want to start with this. When a consumer buys a gallon of gas and they're paying their $3.29 at the pump, we know that 69% of that is going to crude. And if anybody disagrees with this, I want you to pipe up and tell me. We know that 13% of that is going for taxes, and that 18% is there to cover refining, distribution cost, and marketing. So does anyone disagree with those percentages and allowances? Okay. So would it be true that the government actually makes the most as a single entity out of a gallon of gas, that they are realizing the most? Mr. Simon?
That's correct.
That's correct. Okay. Because I think it is so interesting that that's where a lot of the money goes, and that is affecting what we're paying at the pump. I want to come back to a point that was also made about comprehensive strategy, because we have to find out how we're going to deal with this. And I'm going to borrow from you, Mr. Hoffmeister. I think you're exactly right, short-term, mid-range, and long-term. What I would like to hear from you is what you all are doing in each of those categories. And I'm not going to ask for you to sit here and articulate anything right now, because we know some of the things that you are doing for alternatives and for future. I would like to have this in the form of just a one sheet when we are talking with individuals. You didn't cause all of this problem. Policy has caused part of this problem. You all may be partly to blame. The House and the Senate and the administration can all be partly to blame in this. The problem is we weren't looking far enough down the road early enough to address it. And as I said, that should have been a few years back. We do need to work on something that is a comprehensive strategy for this country that is going to consider supply, demand, that takes into account a global marketplace, takes into account that you all are dealing with companies that are owned by governments, that are not independently owned. So I'm going to ask you all to submit that to us, what you are doing that you think will give us the greatest impact in the short term, where your mid-range focus is we look toward 2030. And we look toward our fossil fuel needs moving toward 2030. What you're doing there, the policies that would help us with that. And then long term, the policies and the actions we can take that create the environment for you to do your best. I would like to hear that. And then my last question that I wanted to touch on, windfall profits tax. Like the ones that were proposed last year, how would that affect your bottom line, and what would it do to fuel prices? Mr. Malone, I'll start with you, and let's just work down the line.
Well, we're investing dollar for dollar in this country. So you take $1 more in taxes, it's going to be $1 left available for investment.
Very good. Mr. Lowe?
Yes, same for us. It just reduces the amount of supply.
Okay.
I think what this committee is after is increasing the supply of energy, not reducing it. I think that would reduce it.
Okay.
I think windfall profits were tried before, and it has resulted in some of what the problem is we face today, lack of supply. And I would also say we're dollar for dollar in the United States.
Okay. Mr. Simon?
I would say the same. The policy, if you tax something, you're going to get less of it.
Okay. And Mr. Simon, I want to clarify one thing in your testimony. You said from 03 to 07, your earnings grew by 89%, but your income taxes grew by 170%. Over the last 5 years, ExxonMobil's U.S. total tax bill exceeded your U.S. earnings by $19 billion.
That's correct.
That is correct.
That's
okay,
correct.
thank you, sir. Mr. Chairman, thank you. I yield back.
Great. Gentlelady's time has expired. The chair recognizes the gentleman.